are off. Hello, my name is Brad Bodnerchuk, and welcome to the Half a Dozen Hospitality Podcast, where we discuss everything hospitality, from the food on the plate to the teams that make it happen and the community that pushes this industry forward. On this podcast, we sit down and chat with some of the most exciting, inspiring, and creative minds that make up one of the most dynamic industries that there is today. And today, I have the pleasure of being joined by none other than Jennifer McCreath, owner and operator of Kelly and Carlos O'Brien's in New Westminster. Welcome to the show, Jen.
Thank you, Brad. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for setting aside time, as I know you're extremely busy.
Absolutely.
But I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No problem.
So for the listeners and the viewers, let us know how you got to where you are today as the owner and operator of Kelly and Carlos O'Brien's in New Westminster.
Okay, so a little history. I was, I think, 13 or 14 years old when I started in my first restaurant gig. And that was as a hostess, busser, aka slave, in a little Greek restaurant in Brookswood and Langley. And I loved the energy, of the restaurant business and the people and the kind of nonstop action. When I had my son at a very young age, I was then went back into the restaurant industry because of the, it was more the schedule.
Right.
You can build your schedule around your child's schedule. And I was serving, bartending, then bar managing. And then I opened a new restaurant. That was with Sammy J's.
Okay.
I opened their Metrotown location as a, kind of a second assistant manager.
Right.
Which was a crazy experience, opening a new place. And then I left. I went into actually kind of the promotional world and was doing a ton of events and golf tournaments and event planning. But all the while, I kept, a serving job at a pub. First of all, Frankie G's, and then Jimmy Mac's. And my career, as you could call it, at Jimmy Mac's, continued into my position at Dublin Crossing, which was as a general manager.
Okay.
So I was in that role for 5 years, really enjoyed, delving more into the leadership side of things and, getting away from the serving aspects. And even though, we're still always serving.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But and then when I was I had an opportunity to sit down with this group, and they offered me a role as an owner-operator, and I took a leap of faith, and here I am. So very exciting. We're 6 months old next Friday.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Happy early birthday.
Yeah, thanks. And business is great. And it's just an incredible new team here. And
that's awesome.
Very, very exciting.
So needless to say, you've been in this industry, in this space for quite some time.
Yes.
You've seen a lot.
Are you calling me old?
No, I'm not calling you old at all. I'm just saying it's interesting to me, and I think it's a bit unique, or maybe it's not, but for someone that started as a young teen and then stays in it. And the only reason that, for me, I believe it's unique is because this industry can be so thankless and it can be so demanding on someone, emotionally, physically, mentally, all those things.
Absolutely.
So to see someone like yourself go through what I'm assuming was a lot of challenges in this industry from different roles and different spaces, to still have the desire and the zest to come in every day and
be out there,
put the smile on and do what you do. Do you find that a challenge? Do you find it a challenge to get excited, or did this opportunity that is now, still pretty young, 6 months old, is it still so fresh and so new that you are just excited by this new opportunity?
I'm definitely excited by the new opportunity, that aspect of it, but I'm also a big fan of the industry because of the energy.
Right.
It's not something you ever really, I don't get sick of. I think that you've got something new every day. You see new people, you have new experiences. The team that you have around you as well tends to be dynamic in the hospitality industry.
For sure, yeah.
And diverse.
Very diverse.
But that to me is every day I've got this just great energy and these great people around me, and why would I want to be stuck in a cubicle when I can have that? Right. So
that's a good point. What would you be doing if you weren't doing this?
I don't know. You know what I mean? There was a point in my high school life that I thought that I was going to be a lawyer.
Oh, wow.
Possibly because I'm great at arguing. I think I am anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, I touched on, social work and stuff because I'm a very empathetic person, but I also saw that I would be far too personally invested.
Involved,
yeah. So And this industry was it's who I am. I really enjoy it. I love the day to day. So
Right.
I wouldn't, I don't know where I would have been. I don't think it would have been a lawyer, but
No?
maybe somewhere in business.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I love running the business. I mean, that's a big part of this for me as well, is the business side of this venture.
Right.
Not just the day-to-day operations and being on the floor and things like that, but running the business itself is very exciting to me.
Yeah. So how is that different for you? Because when you and I first met, obviously you were in the general management role at Dublin Crossing. Obviously you did a lot of different things in that space and making it work. But it's different now, I'm assuming, now that you are owner operator of this space and you're looking at things even more detail.
Absolutely.
So have you noticed a switch just in how you look at the business from what you were doing then to what you're doing now, and how does that differ?
A little bit more. I mean, I'm much more aware of, the kind of the P&L side of things. I've been very as a GM, you are running the business for all intents and purposes, and you are although our head office did a lot of our financial stuff, we did the kind of legwork to get to the income statement, so to speak.
Right.
So although I did reviews of our income statement and our bottom line, where we were at, and I mean, I had to have a handle on that as a general manager in order to run their business effectively. So I'm still doing all of that here. Just a little bit more on the kind of accounting financial side of it, I think, and my awareness of how I can affect the bottom line, I think is a lot more apparent now.
Do you find that because you are now a little more tied to that bottom line, to the P&L, you find yourself losing a bit of that personal touch, or a little bit of that, how do I say this? Like less of like a hoorah team member as like a GM can kind of get away with, and you're a little more like, hey guys, like our cost on this dish is way too high. It needs to be low. Like, are you more meticulous now with the numbers than you were before? And does that affect your personality within your day-to-day operations?
Because we're a chain, all of the costing and stuff is done at a head office level.
Right.
So I'm there to execute, and all the food costing and stuff is done. We do as a group.
Right.
I think that actually allows me to still have the rah and be as involved, and at the end of the day, if you don't do that rah with your team and your staff, the bottom line's not going to be there. Exactly. You got to invest in your team first, and they're the ones that are going to drive the bottom line for you. So if they're happy and you're encouraging them and talking to them and building up their ability to upsell and have fun with their guests, that's where you're going to be improving your bottom line the most, I think. Right.
Now you touched on something I think is really important, and I'd love to dive in with you, because you're the first person that I have sat down with that has an intimate relationship now with a chain business. And I think for a lot of us, and I'll say myself included, there's a stigma attached to chains, pardon me. So for you, can you kind of show us, like, or at least describe to us the pros and the cons of getting involved in a chain? Like, what do you see as a major win, and what do you see as a potential downfall?
For a win and a pro, I guess, is the structure and the commitment that we all have to the brand.
Right.
Every owner operator in this organization is committed to the Kelly O'Brien's brand, and we stay true to it. The passion with all of our teams is apparent in each of our restaurants, and I really love that. And it's truly a culture, and we encompass it fully. Awesome. And for economy, maybe it would just be the creative side of being able to come up with menu items and things like that. But at the same time, we do have input, and we do have feedback that we give to head office, and it's weighed in very heavily when we're making menu changes and when we're evaluating what we want to keep or feature or whatever, right? So yeah, I think that overall it's and I mean, this chain in particular is an incredible. I mean, it's an integral group of people, and very driven, like I said, to be supportive and kind to their staff first and foremost, and that is something that I really value. So
right, it resonates with you a lot.
Absolutely, yeah, and that was a big selling feature to me to get on board with a company that's very much aligned with my my standards and my
your ethics and morals.
Yeah.
How long have they as a company been around?
30 years, just over 32 years now.
Oh, wow. Good
yeah. First one in Kelowna opened in 1987.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was it, and pardon my ignorance here, I probably should have done a little more research, but was it Was it actually Kelly and Carlos?
It was Kelly O'Brien's. Yeah,
okay.
the Carlos O'Brien's brand came out later, which is the pub side, right? So Kelly O'Brien's are the restaurants, and the Carlos O'Brien's are the pubs. There's a couple that are just Carlos O'Brien's, which are just pubs. Our Nanaimo location, and we have a Carlos O'Brien's in Kamloops as well, and a Kelly O'Brien's in Kamloops, actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they're across the street from each other.
Oh, there you go. So right now, the roof we're sitting under encompasses both styles.
You got it. Yeah,
Correct.
Upstairs is the Carlos O'Brien's, the
Got
pub.
you. Right.
Hence the pool table and
Right.
and all that.
Yeah.
And downstairs is what we consider the restaurant, Kelly O'Brien's.
And do you find that when your consumers come through the door, whether they're existing customers or new customers, they kind of organically are attracted to one space or the other? Or are you really having to, and your staff having to describe to them like, hey guys, just so you know, this is kind of this space and that is that space? Or is it happening organically?
I think that I don't think it's totally organic at this point. Our downstairs lounge feels very pubby. So, I mean, a lot of people are drawn to that area, and the big, beautiful horseshoe shaped bar. And
right.
I think we have 11 in total 65-inch TVs. So, I mean, it's a pretty pubby kind of feel in that respect. But once we introduce people to upstairs and they see, the kind of fun up here and the pool table and the energy that you get going here on a Friday and Saturday night, they realize, okay, yeah, that's definitely the pub.
Right.
So, but we kind of have to lead them.
Yeah. And you're still new, right? You're still relatively new in the space and for the city as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we've got, kind of what we call the living room is the more family friendly area. It's a little quieter for kids and families and stuff. And they seem to gravitate to that area. So.
And speaking more about the physical space we're in right now, you were kind enough to give me a quick tour of the space. So tell the listeners and the viewers again where we are, what we're inside of, and a little bit of the history of this space.
Well, this building, if anyone isn't aware of it, this Kelly O'Brien's is at 800 Columbia Street in New West, and this building was originally a railway station, CN Rail, or CPR.
Yeah, CPR.
Yeah, CPR. Sorry. And it was built in the 1800s. It burned to the ground in 1898 and was rebuilt in 1899 as the railway station, and operated that way for many, many years. And then it became a keg for a number of years, and which shut down in 2013.
Wow.
And we took over last year. And it's brick. It's old. It's beautiful. It's 120 years old. It's. I mean, I took you down to the basement there. You saw that our foundation is rocks on top of rocks. So cool. And 120-year-old timber, and it's remarkable and beautiful. And there's a lot of history and character here. So
yeah, they did a great job with. I think a lot of new pubs that don't have the ability to pull old like you guys do here. You did a great job of mixing in kind of the raw nature of this building and adding some newer touches. So I don't know, again, was that something that was head office driven, or did you have a lot of input in regards to design and colors and those things?
Absolutely. Yeah. You know what, Reg, who is our CEO, is very empowering when it comes to working with his owner operators. He says, at the end of the day, it's your pub. You're here every day, and he wants us to be happy. And he's all about collaboration. And I loved that. It was such an exciting part of the process for me to be able to pick out colors and what richness of wood do we want for our wainscoting, and we left all of the exposed brick that we could because we really wanted to showcase that part of the building. And
that's beautiful.
Yeah, and picking out light fixtures, and I mean, it was a really, really exciting process. So, and we wanted to keep kind of the style, a little bit traditional with the nature of the building, but also by giving it kind of the Kelly O'Brien's twist.
I like that. Is that something that you are receptive to, or at least aware of, when you step into a restaurant space or a bar or a pub? Are you looking at design pieces? Like, does that impact your experience as much as the food or the service? Oh,
absolutely. I mean, I think anyone with this, my level of history in the business, it definitely is critiquing kind of all the time.
Right.
Whether it comes down to the service you're receiving, or the cleanliness of the washroom, or the light fixtures, or if a light bulb is out, or all those things that it's something that my eyes are open all day every day looking at my own place. So you can't help but look at it.
It's tough to turn that off.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But it's also done in a way that you share information in the industry too. I have a lot of friends that that run or work in other businesses that you can kind of share ideas with. And I actually got ideas for some of our lighting and our tile and things like that from being in other locations. Yeah. That's where you find it, right?
Totally. And I've said this on this podcast a few times that and I should probably look this up, but I think it's an Albert Einstein quote, and it's there's no such thing as an original idea.
Right.
Meaning like you probably walked by something at some point and it left an imprint on you somehow, some way.
Absolutely.
And it's going to come through however it comes through.
Yep.
Which I find really, really cool. And I can see in this space, it has its unique pieces, obviously because of the room that we're in, but I feel like I'm in a very traditional pub. So kudos to you and the team for executing, because it looks awesome.
Yeah, I'm very, very proud of it. So
another thing I like to pick people's brain that come on the show is what else you are inspired by or what else you like. So currently in this space in the hospitality industry, I know you're super busy with being here and the demands here of this space, but if you're going to go out for dinner with Tim or go out for a drink, where do you find yourself usually going, and what is it about those spaces that you like or that you're drawn to?
You know what? Sometimes it's just about comfort. We love, Tim and I love to travel. We have a place in Whistler where, we're always up there, and we love a lot of restaurants up there, and we love going down to Vancouver and checking out new spots there as well. But even just at home, I mean, there's a cool little piano bar in Fort Langley called 1827.
Okay.
That's our date night place. It's kind of tapas style, and there's live music and it's fantastic. But and Sammy J's in Langley, we sit at the bar. We've got friends that go there. It's comfort for us, right? And we're both such busy people. We're both career people. So when we have some downtime, we'll often choose,
something
something we know and something comfortable. But then again, on weekends when we don't have the kids, things like that, we'll be more inclined to maybe head down to Vancouver and seek out a new experience.
Is there anything, totally putting you on the spot here, is anything that's standing out right now in Vancouver that you've tried recently in the past? I mean, again, you've been really busy, but the past year that you were like, God, we got to go back there. Or God, that was terrible.
No, downtown Vancouver. Jeez.
Or a spot, and what's your go-to in Whistler?
Roxy we love.
Yeah, Roxy's
and
great.
Umberto's, the one on the Village Stroll, like right in the village. It's amazing. They have, is it Il Caminito, I think is that one. And they've got seafood, they've got pasta. It's Italian style. It's a really beautiful space. They just did a little reno there too, and it's really fantastic. We went there for my birthday this year, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was
cool.
Nice.
So Jen's hit list is Umberto's, Araxi, and 1827.
Yeah. And good old Sammy J's.
I can't forget Sammy J's. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what does this space, what does your life look like a year from now?
A year from now, I think just like similar to the last 6 months, is more settled. There's kinks in the first year of business. Also in the first year, everything's a first.
Right.
It was our first St. Patrick's Day. It'll be our first Oktoberfest. It'll be our first, there's a lot of firsts.
Yeah.
Every long weekend. How busy are we going to be? There's events in New West that are insane. I mean, the Food Truck Festival brings 100,000 people down to the city.
Wow.
There's the Grand Prix. There's all these different events that we got to see how that,
what it looks like
for our business. Yeah. And then I think that next year will be a year of how can we do it better?
Right.
Okay, well, we fell short here, or we did this really well. That's what I think it'll be a year of evaluating, and also enjoying some of the comfort of having a longer term staff, and just being able to develop my management team to really be able to run the business.
Cool. Do you see anyone coming in through the door looking for a job that reminds you of you when you were young, maybe challenged a bit with your circumstances, and do you find yourself again that empathetic side of you? Like, I really want to pull them under your wing and really help them out, or help to facilitate some growth for them. Do you see that with people that are either on your team right now or coming through the door?
Absolutely. You know what? That was one of the biggest things when I was leaving the Dublin after 5 years. The girls said, well, who are we going to have our closed door chats with? I'm kind of the mama bear. And I think that is just part of my nature. And it's absolutely part of my current team is, they have times where they just need someone to talk to. And I think I've got a good ear, and I've got, hopefully some good advice, and I can give them some. I think my leadership has improved so much over the last few years, and hopefully I can impart some of that on the rest of my kind of management team, and have them support our staff.
Right.
I think that some of the people that I see coming through the door, and some of the people that work for me are definitely a reflection of where I used to be.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And if I can mentor them a little bit and maybe save them some of the trials and tribulations I went through, then great. If I can impart a little wisdom here and there, then I'm happy to do that.
That's cool. And do you find that your relationships that you have with your staff helps you with staff retention?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that at the end of the day, and you could ask any of my staff members this, they know that I care.
Right.
I 100% I care. And it's not I care that you do a good job, or I care that you are on time for work. Of course, I mean, all those things come into play, but I care about them. I know if they have a cat or a dog. I know if they need Wednesdays off for date night. I know if they, you know, and that stuff's important to me, because if my staff aren't happy, then that's not going to, you know, that's not going to do good things. I mean, my business will suffer, and they're not going to want to stay. So you create a happy environment for your team. You create longevity, loyalty.
So I'm going to paint a picture for you. It's 5 years from now.
Okay.
You have been approached by, sorry, I've forgotten the CEO's name.
Reg.
Reg wants you now to oversee 5 different locations. Okay, so you are operating 5 locations.
So he's firing Chris. Okay,
Chris, you're fired 5 years from now.
Chris, start looking, buddy.
So you're overseeing 5 locations. Chris, you keep your job somehow, some way. No, but my point is, how do you, through growth, maintain those touch points? Because you go from having X number of staff here times 5. So how do you take what is such an imperative part of your management style and your ownership style and allow it to grow with you?
I think you just have to create that culture, and that comes with choosing the right leaders. Right. I mean, you have to, and I think I've done that well here. My kind of internal leadership team is, you know, I want them to be true to the type of person that I am, and the standards that I set for the way that we develop and support our staff. And I think that if you choose the right leaders and you share your views on culture and integrity and ethics and all that stuff with them, and you really make that an important factor in their employment and their role, then they will, you know, it comes from there, right? It's always going to come from your leadership team down. So I think that's the way to go.
Do you have anything tangible? Like, can you give us a specific? The only reason I want to talk about this more is this whole staffing and retention thing, because I think it's a major issue right now in the industry, and a lot of people that I sat down with that are in your shoes in other spaces are really challenged by this, both back of house and front of house. It's all good. Okay. Yeah, we can slowly edit that out. Yeah, it's all good. Or we can just fire them right now.
Stop being so loud. Stop having fun.
No, but like, so one of my guests that I sat down with, he takes a lot of time to sit down and have a meal with someone before, after they're hired, but before they start, right? Yeah. Is that stressing you out?
Yeah. I was gonna say, quiet.
Don't worry about it. What was I saying? So his kind of method of doing that is go for it. Yeah. His method of doing that is taking time to have a meal with someone after they've been hired to get to know them a little bit better, right?
Okay.
To take that time. Yeah. So what is besides closed door meetings? What are you doing tangibly with your staff to create that relationship, create that bond?
I think that sometimes it's even just stopping to have a conversation, you know, with one of the girls that's prepping in the back or things like that, and ask them how their day is and what's going on, and did you find anything when you were shopping yesterday? You know, I think that there's personal moments that you can find with your team, and I don't know that it would equate to a sit down meal for me with everybody, but it's very often a conversation just had, you know, quietly together, and sometimes it's because I see that someone looks sad, you know, or they're having a tough day or something's going on, and, you know, I say, hey, do you want to chat? And we'll go and have a chat. Or someone's having a great day and they rocked it on the floor all day, and I said, hey, I want to sit down and have a beer after work. You know, like there's opportunities there too to have that personal connection. Yeah. And you've got to know your staff. Everyone's a little bit different, right? Yeah, for sure. Some of them don't want to sit down and have a beer. That's intimidating to them, and they don't feel comfortable. But they do want to have a 2-minute conversation with you about their day. Yeah, so.
That is something you mentioned at the start of this podcast, is the dynamic nature of this staff and this space. Like, generally speaking, this is a very general comment, but front of house is very different than back of house, generally speaking. Yeah. So you really have to wear different hats, right? And how you approach people and the words you use. And but I feel like with you, and I'll celebrate this a bit. I feel like with you it comes so naturally, and I know that because I know you as a friend and how we converse. But I think for some reason you're just able to pick up on that. So it's great that you found an environment and a role that really allows you to use and abuse that a bit and bring it to light, which will only help, like you said, solidify those teams and hopefully create long-term employees and great retention and
totally,
fingers crossed, successful business.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think the ability to read people and empathize and you know, I always say that I follow my gut in a lot of situations, and it tends to be right. So and I think that's because I am a fairly good judge of character, and I tend to be able to hone in on what people's strengths and weaknesses are, and
maybe you should have been a psychic.
How to connect with them. Hey, maybe I'm a bit.
Oh wow. Call Jen, 1-800-585.
That's a new side job. Just make a bunch of stuff up.
A big part of my intrigue with this podcast is picking people's brains on this industry. And one aspect that I really love to chat about is trends. So what are you seeing in your, I'll call it in your silo, in like the pub bar scene as far as trends? What are you seeing? What is your group seeing right now that you're either testing out or looking at getting into? Or is there anything?
I just think the entertainment aspect, you know, paint nights and bingo and those types of things are becoming really big. And the feedback that we've gotten from our guests so far is that that's what they're looking for. Is those entertainment components. Beer, you know, it's come a long way. There's still that very, very loyal group of drinkers that will always stay true to their, you know, Molson Canadian and things like that. But there is also there's that craft world out there that people, and if you don't cater to that a little bit, then you might fall short on for some of your guests, because, and so we try and keep a very, you know, diverse lineup of draft, and we're actually seeing you know, people move away from pop, you know, like rum and cokes are now like vodka soda, and so there's that health trend as well that's coming. So yeah, so, you know, entertainment, craft beer, health. I think those are kind of the three. Three
and then
things.
how does health impact your group, I guess, and the way you guys sit down and develop menus?
Well, it absolutely has impacted our menu quite a bit over the last few years. I mean, we just recently put a tuna stack on the menu. It's a sashimi style. It's unbelievable. It's so delicious. And it's in line with that kind of that healthy trend. And we have a beet salad, and we have, you know, there's things that we're having to change that, you know, will appeal to that market. But there's also the people that just want a nice big, you know, juicy Guinness burger. And
What is the most popular thing on the menu here?
I use the Guinness burger as an example because it's probably our most popular burger, right?
Can you quickly sell us on it and describe
delicious. Cheesy and saucy and
cheesy
delicious.
And saucy. Is it like a 8-ounce patty, 6-ounce patty? What is it?
It's two patties, and it's Guinness barbecue sauce and cheese and onion rings and
onion rings on the burger.
On the burger,
Oh, wow.
So it's delicious, and that's probably one of our top sellers here. And you know, there's people that are going to come down and be interested in just the pub food. You know, comfort food. They want to come down and have pachos. Pachos are, well, we're famous for our pachos, right? So pachos are lattice cut fries with melted cheese and chives. And we have our famous Emerald Isle sauce, which I think only 2 people in the world have the recipe for. It's patented. And
Emerald Isle?
Emerald Isle
sauce.
Yeah. It's like honey mustard on crack.
Wow.
Yeah. It's people will come in and order pachos and get like 4 sides of Emerald Isle sauce.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah.
Wow. I've never heard of it. And I've never heard of anyone say honey mustard on crack before. So I'm confusingly intrigued. I kind of want to try it, but I don't know if I do.
It's delicious.
Wow.
Yeah, there's pacho kids from the 1980s that still seek out Kelly O'Brien's for that, right? So
I feel like I should probably try some.
I think we should probably have a plate of pachos.
Yeah, that's amazing. Health is a big thing that I think, again, is impacting this industry. We're seeing it now, even I think in kitchens with the people that are cooking the food, the chefs. And I said this on my last podcast, is there used to be, maybe there still is, but there used to be this saying of never trust a skinny chef. Do you know what I mean?
Because they're not testing their products.
Yeah, something along those lines. I think that was the assumption people are making. But I
trust Jan. She's pretty little, but
but I think we're now seeing a change, and I think it's geographic. Obviously, where we live is very different to different parts in the world, North America and our country. But I think we're seeing such a major a major switch to health. Like you said, even with when people are consuming alcohol, they're making a more conscious effort to make it a little bit more low calorie or a little bit less this and less
choose red
that.
wine over Crown Coke or something, you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
There's options out there.
Exactly. So are you seeing that with you when you go dine as well? Are you looking on the menu for a healthier option, or are you just going after, if someone does a really good Guinness burger, are you ordering the Guinness burger?
Yeah, I guess it depends on where we're going. If we go to a new restaurant, I mean, I tend to choose healthier options. I tend to eat overall, healthier.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's nights where we go to Umberto's and I'll have a nice big bowl of pasta, you know, like I just think it's all about balance.
Right.
And I think that there's a lot of people out there that want to have salads and healthier options throughout most of the week. But then when they go out to dine, they're going to eat what they want. They're going to choose a burger. They're going to choose a pasta or whatever on a weekend or something like that. But I mean, we're open 11 till midnight. So not everyone's going to eat, and 1 a.m. actually on Fridays and Saturdays, but not everybody's going to eat those burger type meals all day, every day. So I just think it's all about balance, and it's all about having a menu that has enough options for the masses, right? Because there's some, that being said, you can't always cater to everybody,
100%.
And you've got to stay true to who you are, to your brand. We're not going to reinvent the wheel and turn all vegan, as much as there's a lot of people that request, options like that, which we can cater to gluten-free, to, vegan options. We have the ability to construct any dish to suit our customers' needs. So if they don't want it with this or that, we'll switch it. We'll do anything we can to make their experience what they want it to be.
Right. And that's company wide, I'm assuming.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
If you were to choose another location to take over, which one would it be?
Oh, I'd have to take Kelowna.
Yeah. What about
I hope
Kelowna?
Blower listens to this.
Yeah. What about Kelowna?
It's just really busy. It's big and it's busy, and it's got a gorgeous rooftop patio. And
bigger than this.
Yeah.
How many seats? Here again?
Bigger. I think that with his patio, once we've got patio open, then we'll be comparable.
Okay.
So, yeah. Right now he's operating with more seats because of his patio.
And then just for our listeners, how many seats are we here?
Well, we're 260 inside.
Right.
And then we'll be
120.
Yeah, roughly. I think I'm looking at the patio. We were aiming for 150. I think we'll be more around 120, 130 on the patio. So like, we're pushing 400. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
How do you staff
big place. That? I don't know. You know what? I think my experience prior to coming into this one with 5 years in a 350 seat Irish pub and restaurant as well, it kind of gave me the tools that I needed to be able to do that. But you just follow you look at your sales figures. So the problem here is I don't have last year's numbers to compare to, right? So we are kind of throwing darts at a board sometimes. But you know what? You just staff accordingly and hope to do it right and have enough support there that if something happens, you don't fall short.
Right. Speaking of kind of going blindly a bit, what are your expectations of this business here where we sit today? Like, what are your expectations for year end to look like? We don't have to get into specifics as far as numbers, but do you have expectations, and does the ownership group and your CEO have expectations, and what do those look like?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do a lot of budget reviews, and we do a lot of comparisons, and we really try to stay on top of those things at all times in order to predict and to staff and to order accordingly. I think that we're going to see some big numbers through the summer with that patio. I mean, we're going to have the biggest, most beautiful patio in New West, so people will flock to it for sure. So. And then our December, we opened like lunatics in December on a Friday.
Yeah.
And it was completely nuts. We were lined up every single night by 6:30 kind of thing. So I think we're gonna have a crazy winter as well. It's gonna be really busy. It's a big, beautiful place with good energy and fun staff. You know what? People are going to be drawn to it. I think we're just going to I think next year, because we'll have our patio sooner, because we've been going through the building process through this gorgeous month of May. Yeah. I think we'll be able to kill this year's numbers next year because we'll have that all ready to go. But
awesome.
Yeah, I predict a very, very busy summer. I predict, a fall that'll be, not as crazy, but will lead into a very, very busy winter season. So,
and you're enjoying it.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's fun.
I don't want to keep you too long because I know you're extremely busy.
No problem.
But I do have 2 questions that I ask every guest, and I didn't prompt you, and that's kind of the whole idea with this. So it's kind of putting you on the spot. It is called the Half a Dozen Hospitality Podcast. So I have for you 2 questions.
Okay.
The first one is the half a dozen have-tos. So 1 to 6, half a dozen, have-tos. So what are your 1 to 6 Jennifer McCreath's have-tos? It's a trip you have to take. Speaking to our listeners, a meal you have to try, a store they need to go to. It doesn't have to be hospitality based. Excuse me, anything. It can be an excursion you've taken that they have to try. It can be a trip that you've been on. It can be a meal you've tried. It can be a shirt that you own, a pair of shoes that you work in, whatever it is. What are 1 to half a dozen of your have-tos?
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. And I'm ranking them 1 to 6?
No.
Just as they,
okay,
just 6 of them.
Improv it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to go to Santorini and New Zealand.
Okay.
I have to get married.
Okay.
That one's for you, Tim.
Okay. Yeah, Tim, hope you're listening.
I have to have a positive and constant, great, good relationship with my kids, my son and my 2 stepkids, Tim's kids. I have to stay healthy and active. I have to get over my fear of flying.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that was a thing.
Needles, yeah.
Flying at needles.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to get over those. Where am I at? Is that 5?
I think that's 5.
That's 5.
We can do the needles in the plane as 1 if you want.
Irrational fears. I have to get over my irrational fears.
Yeah.
And I have to drive hard to be the best version of myself every day.
And how do you do that?
By being a good partner, a good mother, good at what I do in my business, a good mentor to my team.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's being and doing things like eating healthy and getting exercise and looking at the next adventure and where I'm going. And
nice. Yeah. So 5 years from now, what is Jennifer doing?
Jennifer is sitting back enjoying a very profitable and exciting business. I am hopefully traveling as much as possible.
With your husband, Tim, listening.
Yeah, honeymoon. Let's start there.
Okay,
maybe not in 5 years. Whoa,
okay, too long.
Too long. Let's back this up. We do love to travel. We love experiences. We're all about new experiences. So that is in 5 years. I just hope that I'm having a lot of really new, exciting, fun experiences.
Awesome.
And hopefully I know I seem like I'm way too young to be a grandma, but at some point in 5 to 10 years, that could be a very real possibility.
How old is your son now?
He'll be 20 this year.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah. And Paige is 18 and Chase is 14. So, 5 years from now, we got 25 and 23 or 22, 23. Yeah.
Crazy. Time flies when you're having fun and opening up pubs and crushing life.
That's right.
So I wanted to take a moment to thank you again so much for taking time out of your day. I want to thank you for being such a great friend as well. And I want to celebrate you and where you have come and how much you have grown. And I think you found a fantastic home here for yourself. And I think, like I said earlier, your personality and who you are as a person just fits this industry. So I'm so glad that after all these years, you haven't fallen victim to that fatigue that this industry is so apt for putting on people. So well done to you, and I celebrate you, and I'm so happy to see you doing so well. And only 6 months in, so wait to see what happens this time next year. Yeah, well, thank you so much. You know what, I value our friendship and our chats, and I'm happy that we can still be connecting on this level, and that this is still of interest to you. It's, I mean, I think it's something we've both been always very passionate about. And, totally. And I'm really proud to see where you're going in this direction too. This is exciting stuff. Yeah, thank you. So lastly, but if people want to reach out or support you and the brand, how can they best do that? If they wanted to reach out to me, I'm happy to give an email address or something like that. Yeah. It's jenniferm@kellyobriens.com. So it's JENNIFER@KELLYOBRYANS.com. And you can also go to our Facebook page and like it and send us a note that way. Go to our website. You know what? If they want to
come down and have some pachos.
Yes, come down. If you're local.
That's the best kind of support.
Yeah, if you're listening to this and you are if you're just in BC, find yourself at either this Kelly O'Brien's or another one.
Yes.
And try. So the pachos are the same at everyone.
Everyone.
And they all have the honey mustard crack stuff.
The Emerald Isle sauce.
The Emerald Isle sauce. Amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, guys, please do get out and check out Kelly O'Brien's. And if you are local, get in and see Jen and her team. It is a beautiful space, and they're doing awesome stuff here. And again, the energy that Jen gives from herself and her team is unlike anything else. So thank you again for coming on.
Thanks,
Thank you guys for watching and listening. Please tune in again next week for a brand new episode. And until then, be good and do good. Awesome.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
You did so well.